This week in grammar, we're going to work with more comparisons. Today we're going to be comparing with good and bad and comparing with adverbs. Now remember, some adjectives like good and bad need to change forms when they're used to compare things. We ask this thinking question, is the comparison comparative or superlative? And what form of good or bad should be used to compare? You change good to better when you're comparing two things, and change good to best when comparing three or more things. So one single item is good, more than one is better, and more than two or three is best. What is the best environment for amphibians is our example. When we use bad, when we're comparing two things, we change it to worse. And when we're comparing three or more things, it's worst. What is the worst environment for frogs? So we're going to think about the correct form of the adjective in parentheses. Matt thinks the good amphibian of all is the newt. We're talking about all the amphibians. We're talking about more than three. So we need to make good best. Matt thinks the best amphibian of all is the newt. Number 2, the bad threat to their habitat is pollution. Okay, is this comparative or superlative? Right, there's many threats, so we're talking about more than 3. So we need to change this to worst because we're using the superlative. The worst threat to their habitat is pollution. Pause the video, do 3 and 4, and come back when you're done. How'd you do? Check your answer. Jake thinks the study of mammals is better than the study of reptiles. This is comparative, just two things. And the water pollution is worse than this year than it was last year. We're just comparing the 2 years. Now let's take a look at comparing with adverbs. Remember that adverbs can be used to make comparisons. And when you compare with adverbs, you add more or most to the adverbs that end in ly. If the adverb does not end in ly, you add er or est. If it compares two actions, you add the er. When it's three or more actions, est. This is all review. Okay? So this is the thinking question. Does the adverb end in ly? And how many things does the adverb compare? So if it's two actions, it does not end in ly, we add three or more, est. Of all the frogs in the forest, the tree frog can jump the highest. All right, we are talking about jumping, and we're comparing all the frogs in the forest and how high they can jump. If the adverb ends in ly, we're going to use more for two actions and most for three or more. The toad hopped more quickly than the frog. We're comparing how the toad and the frog hopped. So we're just comparing two. Two actions would be more. So let's look at the sentences here on your screen. We're going to talk about the correct form of the adverb shown in parentheses. Number 1 says, the newt swims fast than the salamander. How many actions are we comparing? Just two, how the newt swims and how the salamander swims. So fast does not end in ly, so we need to add The newt swims faster than the salamander. Number 2, tadpoles swim the fast in the pond. We're comparing how tadpoles swim. Tadpoles swim the, again, doesn't add an ly, but we're comparing more actions. This is lots of tadpoles and how they swim. So fastest in the pond. Look at 3 and 4, pause the video, and come back when you're done. How'd you do? Did the tree frog jump more quickly than the bullfrog? We're adding more to the ly adverb. because it's only comparing the tree frog and the bullfrog and how they jumped. Number 4, of all amphibians, turtles move most gracefully. We're comparing all the amphibians and how they move. So we are comparing 3 or more actions. Ends in ly, so we added most. Now I'm going to send you on your merry way in your reader's notebook to practice comparing with good and bad and comparing with adverbs. On page 353 of your reader's notebook, you will see comparing with good and bad. You will see the information, this chart, some examples in the thinking question. You're going to do similar to what we did on the projectable, but you're going to circle the correct form of the word in parentheses. They wrote it for you. And write C if it's comparative and only compares 2, and S for superlative, meaning it compares 3 or more. You can use this chart to help you. Okay, then you're going to move on to 354 and compare with adverbs, information, chart, examples, thinking question. You're going to write the form of the adverb in parentheses that correctly completes the sentence. So this is a lot like the projectable. Remember, you're asking if it ends in ly and how many actions does the adverb compare. Okay? Make sure to have your learning adult check your work when you're done.